Hello, hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. So, I was looking at what is going on this week, and there's not a whole lot of really big things except Mercury retrograde. And this is the third and final retrograde of the year. Yay. They have all been in air signs. So the first one was in Aquarius, the second one was in Gemini, and the third was in Libra. So this is the last Mercury retrograde of the year. And what's interesting is that a lot of the retrograde planets are all going to be going direct as Mercury is moving through its retrograde motion. And then as Mercury kind of goes stationary and starts to go direct, Jupiter is also going to be going stationary and then finally going direct as well. So, I feel like this is like the final hurrah, I think, of retrograde season. And Mercury is kind of being that messenger of the gods, the communicator, and stirring up stuff probably so that we can really wrap up this retrograde season with intelligence and using the lessons that we've learned to our advantage. But I do think it's going to get pretty intense. I did pull some cards for the retrograde season as well, and they're pretty intense. Like, I think it's going to be, I literally pulled the apocalypse card. So I think it's going to be almost like an apocalyptic event. And I don't know, what's going to happen or anything, but there's like this primal animalistic kind of energy that we're connecting to, I think, during this retrograde and just during this time, like as a whole in the US and the world, there's something about connecting to the primal, the warrior self. And it's really strong with this retrograde period, especially. So there's definitely a rebirth transformation happening. And of course, we'll be moving into Scorpio season eventually as well. But there's something deeper going on. So let's kind of go through day by day. I'm going to focus on Mercury. I'll talk about when certain planets and specific asteroids are also either going retrograde or going direct, because I think that's important too. It's a very, very busy next month or so. Really the next 6 months are super busy, but what I'm going to talk about with this retrograde, it's very active, it's very colorful, it's very busy, and it's very, very, very deep. It's super deep. When I think about Mercury, I don't really think depth too much. It can be, because we're talking about the mind. We have, of course, the subconscious mind, but in general, it tends to be usually surface level communications, just in general, connecting the dots, analyzing the information, taking in the information. But this retrograde period, it's deep. And that can have something to do with Pluto also. So, okay, I'm going to share my screen here. Also, I just wanted to say thank you so much for being here. I really, 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 really appreciate it. And I hope that these weekly forecasts help you in some way. The reason I don't do a monthly, I don't know if I ever will, but the reason I don't is because I can't personally sit through a monthly forecast. That's probably just my own issue, because I kind of like forget everything that was said and I try to take notes. I do look at Rick Levine's every once in a while, but they're just so long. I love my teacher, Rick, but they're just very long. And I do like the short ones better. Doing the weekly, just so you can kind of have it fresh in your memory of what's happening. So that's just kind of why I'm doing it this way. Okay. All right. So here is today's chart, right? Yes. Okay. I'm going to move this to noon just as we go through. And I have it in Pacific time this time. So I kind of just rounded the times that certain shifts or aspects are happening. So like, 7 a.m., 7:30, not trying to be too specific, just so we don't get like lost in the details right now. Okay, so this is today. We have Mercury stationary right now. It will officially go retrograde tomorrow, the 27th, or I think it's actually exactly at 10:10 p.m. Pacific time on the 27th. So this is today. We have Mercury opposite Eris here in Aries. And that's interesting too. I do feel that our communication right now, there is so much like oomph and power, whether we realize it or not, because with those opposition aspects, we tend to pick one side or the other. I'm going to pick the Mercury and Libra side every day because I have that placement in my chart actually. But I do feel that the way that we're speaking to each other and the communication, it has quite a bit of power. And I do think that this square that we have here too. Mercury is squaring Pluto. That also is bringing a lot of stuff up from the depths of the underworld, our subconscious and our shadows. There's a lot of like power behind what we're saying in our communication right now. Okay, so this is today. Let's go to tomorrow. I'll go by day. And again, this is going to be really talking about the Mercury retrograde in particular. Okay, so this is tomorrow. Mercury is still stationary. It's going to go direct later at night. So let's just go ahead and go there. So 10 p.m. Okay, so, well, that's not quite right. It's close to there. So there we go. So it's really like 10, 11, whatever. Okay, so tomorrow night, Mercury is going into retrograde in Libra. Mercury loves to be in Libra because it's an air sign. Now, I also just wanted to throw out there too that just because planets are, you know, for example, like the moon generally likes to be in water signs, but it doesn't like being in Scorpio. So, but in this case, Mercury does like to be in Libra. We're going into retrograde. The beginning and the end of retrograde periods are always the most intense because that planet is still in the sky. It's stationary. So my teacher, Rick, he always says that it amplifies the energy when it's still in the sky. So for us, that's anxiety, a feeling of desperation, like we just have to get things done, like we have to, but like we can't, because it feels like Mercury is grabbing us by the back of the shirt and kind of dragging us back, but we have this feeling of desperation. And that's where Mercury gets kind of dangerous because we feel like we have to do these things right now. And that's why, you know, signing contracts and all of that stuff, it's not the best idea unless you can sit back and relax, think about it, read the fine print. It's not that you can't do those things. It's just that in the desperation, the anxiety, the restlessness of Mercury retrograde, we tend not to read the fine print. Does that make sense? Okay. So Mercury is going into retrograde and we're going to go right to the 1st, October 1st. Okay. So on October 1st, Mercury's square to Pluto is going to be exact. I already passed it, but it's a little bit earlier. So it's about 7:30 a.m. on the 1st. Let me just go to noon here. So we've been dealing with this Mercury and Pluto thing. You know, it's been very interesting. There's a transformation taking place for sure in the mental realms, in your mind, in your belief systems. And with this Aquarius energy as well, you know, connecting to Mercury, I would say that we're realizing things that are very uncomfortable. We're realizing things that we don't want to deal with. The truth is being revealed. And there's a lot of trauma, I think, that's happening from that. But we can go through that spiritual rebirth and transformation, the apocalypse together, and be reborn. But of course, it's super uncomfortable. It's dark, it's heavy, it's scary, nightmarish kind of, depending on what you're dealing with. It feels uncomfortable. When you're looking at your own chart, see where Libra is, see where some of these other planets are right now. You know, where is Pluto in your chart? Where is Eris in your chart? Where is Jupiter? Where is everything? Where is that going on? But especially where is Libra in your chart? And then we'll tell you what you're really dealing with this Mercury retrograde. So Mercury is squaring Pluto. Square aspects are frustrating. They're conflicting. They pose really difficult challenges that we have to put in considerable effort to overcome and to work through. And Mercury will square Pluto again once Mercury goes direct, again on November 2nd. So we're going to have 3 of those alignments. So if we have, for example, Pluto is still, it's in retrograde right now, but if Pluto is still, we have Mercury going forward, and then we have it going back over that point in retrograde, and then it will go forward for a 3rd time. So that's why we have the same aspects a lot of the time, 3 separate times. Okay, so on the 3rd, October 3rd, we have Mercury perfectly trining Jupiter again. So Mercury trining Jupiter, in general, it tends to be pretty positive, optimistic, not always, but it tends to be really optimistic. it's very expansive for better or for worse. Trine aspects mean that those two planets are working together. But with this Mercury trine Jupiter in Aquarius, Aquarius can't just let things be chill. Libra can. Libra might even avoid those things because Libra doesn't want to deal with it a lot of the time. They will, but it's not comfortable for them. With Aquarius, this is co-ruled by Saturn and Uranus. It's not an easy sign. It's not going to just let us flip through life and eat chocolate in the field like Mercury in Libra wants to. So again, truth being revealed, it's the tower kind of stuff going on, that lightning bolt, sudden realization, aha moments. I'm picturing like a neuron with all these different points coming together and just lighting up. Or it can be the tower kind of moment where the truth that's being revealed is really ugly and uncomfortable. And we have to kind of work through that too. So again, it depends on your own chart, but if we're dealing with like the positive aspect of Jupiter, which it tends to be positive, it tends to be maybe even grandiose and just over the top, this is like Zeus kind of energy. So it can be good or bad, but in general with Jupiter, it tends to be more on the optimistic and positive side, in my opinion. So even if we are going through really difficult transformations with this connection to Pluto here, we're probably going to be able to see it in a more positive way. So even these ugly truths that we're seeing, it's going to benefit us, I think, in some way. And again, the third alignment for this Mercury trine Jupiter is going to be on Samhain. So that is October 31st, also Halloween, around 9 p.m. So that will be like the final thing. I do like how all of this is like leading up to Samhain too. Kind of adds to that whole like death and rebirth energy that we have going on. All right, so let's move forward to October 5th. On October 5th, Mercury will quincunx Neptune again. That's this green dotted line here. So quincunx aspects, they create frustration, difficulties. We feel very irritated. We feel very annoyed. We know that there's some kind of problem. We don't know what it is. So with Neptune, this is like spiritual matters, illusions, delusions. What is truth? What is fantasy? What is real? What is not real? And dealing with the mind, this is like, and especially, we're dealing with Aquarius here too. So I just feel that the things that we're breaking through right now, it's probably our own delusions, our own illusions that we have in general that maybe we didn't want to deal with, or we really thought that was reality and it's not reality. So it's uncomfortable for sure. And this connection to Eris too, it's pretty strong here throughout Mercury retrograde. It doesn't quite get into that perfect alignment again, until later, but it just feels very uncomfortable. It feels very warrior-like. Again, that primal, like we're really going to like the roots. We're really going to like the blueprint of what we're made out of. And that's where the change is taking place. And that's where things are being revealed. And we can't do work there unless we're willing to have those delusions and illusions crumbled. And that's for sure going to happen. I don't know about you, but that's totally been going on in my life. It's been uncomfortable, but it's also very empowering. And that's like such a Pluto, Scorpio rebirth kind of feeling too. And I think Venus and Scorpio has something to do with that as well. Okay, so October 5th, Mercury quincunx Neptune. It will form that quincunx again on October 30th. All right, next day. So October 6th, we have Pluto is actually stationing direct. Here we go. Yay. So yay, but also really intense because Pluto again is going to be stationary. It's in the sky. It's holding still. So rebirth. That's all I'll say about that. And also this day is the new moon in Libra. So we have the sun and the moon here in Libra. I believe that's happening at about 4 a.m. on the 6th. Yes. So it's also the new moon. We have Pluto stationing direct. Oh my gosh, that's going to be an interesting new moon for sure. We'll definitely see things in a different way. And with Libra, it's going to be our partnerships, our one-to-one close relationships with others, not just romantic, but the people that we really spend the most time with one-on-one. The way that we love, our heart center, our heart chakras, how we desire, how we are attracted to things, how we give and receive love. That's always the energy I feel with Libra. With Pluto, it's changing. Something about that is going to change, and it's going to be very big. There's going to be a before and after with your relationships, I think, on this new moon. All right, so let's move to the 7th, the next day. So Mercury is sextiling Juno, and Ceres down here, so your Ceres is going to station to go retrograde. So lots of goddess energy going on. With Ceres, I always see this as like reaping the harvest for sure, but there's like something that we missed along the way. In Gemini, this has to do with our immediate community, our learning, our day-to-day interactions that we have with each other, like right around us. There's something with that we've missed. Something having to do with the people that we live next to, around. For me personally, this has really been manifesting as, especially with the North Node here too in Gemini, it's been manifesting as trying to create a right relationship with my immediate community, cleaning the streets, literally like picking up garbage, or talking to our neighbors, or like trying to help each other out and like reforming that relationship that we really lost, especially here in the US. We really lost that. We're all separated in our house. We really lost like the immediate tribe around us. And that seems to be a theme. With Ceres here too, I think it's really doing that inner work, cutting things off that are preventing that from happening. That's how I see it. Like, just like its symbol here, just really coming back to what we're supposed to be doing, reaping what we've sown, but also taking the plant, ripping that thing out of the ground if it's just dying or it's sick, or and restructuring. That's how I see this. And it's happening with the way that we talk to each other, our communication, the ideas, what we're putting into our bodies and our minds. That's where I see this transformation happening. So on the 9th, we have Mercury conjuncting Mars. Again, or did this happen already? So Mercury is conjuncting Mars. It's very forward, aggressive warrior energy. We have a lot of energy at our disposal when these two come together. Again, primal warrior energy. There's something with that. I don't know what it is, but there's some kind of connection with that. We also have Saturn stationing to go direct. I believe that's the next day. Yes, so Saturn is going stationary to turn direct. Yay, that means I'm going to have my 3rd and final Saturn return alignment and my stepdad. We have like the exact same degree almost. So wow, there's been a lot of change happening, restructuring our lives, truth being revealed, but let's go a little bit deeper. What else is there with Saturn and Aquarius? Not only do I see this as forming those bright neuron connections I was talking about, taking the pieces of your life and like bringing them together to have that light up, that glow, that breaking through, connecting to like God consciousness through the mind energy, but it's also like the depletion and the destruction of those connections that are faulty or that don't make sense, or that don't serve you anymore, or are holding you back, or just are corrupt in some way. It's like a computer, but like the virus, dare I say that word. That stuff is also part of Saturn and Aquarius. It's not just like having these great light bulb moments that would be nice, but it's also taking those pieces and going to the root of what the problem is and kind of shattering it and exploding it out. That's kind of the message I've been getting with the Morrigan lately, is that you have to like look outside of yourself and see the source of the problem. We've been really seeing the sources of the problem within, and sometimes it's easier to see it out in the world. But I think this retrograde period has really helped us see it within too, because it's all connected, right? And we're not at fault for anything that happens outside of ourselves, but there's a mirror thing going on. We have to find the root, and that's where the work has to be done. There's no other way. You can clean up the street every day, but if people are still going to continue to litter, and people are going to throw cigarette butts out of their car and stuff, you're just going to keep doing that every day. And it might make a little bit of a difference. It might maybe inspire people to not do it. But unless you like go to like the source of that issue, we're not going to solve it. Does that make sense? So that's kind of what I'm getting, just intuitively, what the Morrigan's been telling me and what I'm getting about Saturn about to go direct again. On this, the 11th, so the next day, Mercury is forming a quincunx. That's the dotted green line here to Uranus again. So again, quincunx energy is so frustrating and irritating because we either know or don't know what the issue is, but like we can't solve it no matter what. This is a difficult energy. You know, with Uranus is kind of reaching within those Taurus roots, where we come from, our family issues, our values, and like ripping the stuff out, shaking it off, throwing it away, or telling us to plant it somewhere else or whatever. Maybe those realizations I was talking about, those things that we have to break down and destroy, it's not fun, but it's going to feel maybe frustrating, irritating, uncomfortable, just not pleasant. And we might not be able to solve all those things right now. We might be aware of it, but don't expect yourself to like just like clear the way of everything and just like everything is taken care of. It's not going to be that way. It's going to be more difficult. And the last alignment for Mercury quincunx Uranus is on October 24th. That will be the last time once Mercury goes direct again. On October 13th, Mercury is going to sextile Black Moon Lilith. No, Ceres, I'm sorry. So Mercury is going to sextile Ceres, which is in Gemini, and it's also going to square White Moon Selena. Okay. Again, this is bringing the attention away from Capricorn, I think, which is societal structures, traditions, rules, top-down economics. This is the way we've always done things. This is the old way. While it's also bringing this positive, effective energy towards Ceres in Gemini, which again is our community. That's really the shift here with the North Node in Gemini. We're moving away from the outer world. It doesn't mean that we're leaving it behind, but we're taking the focus off of travel and foreign countries and religion, and we're going back towards Gemini, which is science, which is immediate community, which is early schooling, gathering the facts. So having this connection here with White Moon Selena too, we're going to have to help others. That's how I feel about this. We're going to have to light the way for other people who are lost right now. We're all lost. In one way or another, we're all lost. But I always see White Moon Selena as, you know, and Black Moon Lilith are very similar, but White Moon Selena takes that wisdom of Black Moon Lilith and lights the way and uses it to light the way for others. So it's just like the polarity of Black Moon Lilith, but they do go together too. I see this as us having to really use our skills and our wisdom to help light the way for others right now who are really lost, not telling them what to do, you know, not telling them what to believe. Like, I'm not going to listen to anyone that tells me what to believe. So I'm not going to tell anybody else what to believe. You know, I have my opinions for sure, but I do see this as we have to really help each other right now, no matter what our belief systems are. Sagittarius, right? Ideologies, Sagittarius, no matter what we believe, belief systems, BS, right? No matter what we believe, we have to help each other. We have to light the way for each other because we're never all gonna agree. Thank God, right? If we all agreed, I think it would get extremely boring in life. We have to help each other, and we have to help each other work through the structures, the system, the rules, the traditions, the inequality, the power and control issues. We got to help each other. We have to be there for each other, even if it's only for our immediate family and friends, our street, our neighborhood, our town. Like that's the connections we need to make right now, because we need that from each other. We need to support each other. Okay, so on the 15th, we have Mercury forming a quincunx to Pallas Athene, which is the warrior queen. Now, Pallas as a goddess is about a woman living in a man's world. It's that part of femininity that can be right there with the men. You know, this is like all kind of like a patriarchal illusion. Pallas Athene is that part of us women that we want to be right there in the man's world, you know, have the career, be intelligent, because some people think that's not a woman thing, but it's that part of society that says if you're a woman and you have a career and you're intelligent and you go after what you want and you don't need a man, that's that part of patriarchal society that says we have to also deny our femininity. So that's like the issue that Pallas Athene is dealing with and showing us how to work through. Being in Pisces, I do think that this is the healing that is starting to take place. And with healing comes a lot of messy stuff. And I think in our minds, Mercury, these issues are coming up. It doesn't make sense that for a woman to exist in the world as an independent person, she has to deny her femininity or be only femininity and not like show her masculine energy. This is the stuff that's coming up in our minds right now, not just women, you know, everybody. The inequality is definitely coming up, excuse me, right now. Things that are imbalanced are coming up, but also learning how to integrate our feminine and masculine polarities together and to not deny that. Because I think based on the situation that we're in society, we've had to deny that part of ourselves for so long. And this coming up during Mercury retrograde, it is significant, I think. This is Pisces too. This is spirituality. Pisces to me is like the bridge. So we're bridging that gap, and it's probably going to require some Pallas Athene energy. You know, Pallas Athene and Medusa, they were the same deity, but over time her story changed. Pallas Athene giving Perseus the tools to decapitate Medusa. Those were the same deity. So having that story change to that was that separation of the softness of femininity and the dark goddess part of femininity. There shouldn't be that separation. And I think Pisces is really bridging the gap, and that is really happening within our own minds, Mercury too. So that is part of this retrograde. We'll be feeling that towards the end. On the 16th, Mercury is sextiling Venus, which will be in Sagittarius by then, pulling our relationships into this whole mental transformation and tying up the loose ends. It's going to pull in our relationships and show us, Sagittarius, how to be more independent with each other, how to give each other more freedom, not restrain each other, that sort of thing. And on the 17th, Mercury will finally station direct. And on the 19th, Mercury will be going forward again. And of course, we'll be going through a lot of those same aspects again. Also, I just wanted to say on the 20th is the full moon in Aries. Okay, let's get out of here. Okay, so that's pretty much it. It's so deep. I always have a hard time deciding what is most important or that I want to talk about because there's so much to it. There's so much happening. So of course, I like to pull some cards sometimes. I don't need the cards personally, but they always add another layer of understanding and kind of help me take the pieces and like bring it together into one thing. So like I was saying before, I pulled the Apocalypse card, which I think is very fitting. That's what it looks like. There's like this eye in the middle. To me, it looks like kind of like spider webs, but also a bunch of snakes coming together, which reminds me of Medusa again. I've been really focused on Pallas Athene for the last, like, I don't know how many months, like 4 or 5 months maybe. There's a separation that has happened for women in femininity that the gap needs to be bridged. And with this Apocalypse card, I just feel like the whole thing needs to be thrown out, like throw the whole society out. No, I'm just kidding. But everything that really the patriarchy has caused and created, it needs to go. We need to destroy it. Okay. I also pulled the Warrior card. I really, really love this image. Like, how amazing is that? The snake, another thing about the snake too, Pallas Athene, one of her symbols was the snake of wisdom also. And finally, the animal. And this is where I was getting that primal kind of energy that's happening too. In my opinion, there's a place for organization and doing things a very gentle, specific way. There's a place to be the crazed warrior spirit yelling a battle cry and destroying everything. But again, with the bridging the gap, know what you know what we're fighting for. What are you fighting for? What is your purpose as a warrior in society? Once we get out of that like perfect alignment that the warrior really needs to be in, think like martial arts, think like ninjas, or even yoga a little bit. You have to be in that aligned state to really make a difference and to change things. Once we get off kilter, it's really easy to start acting from a space of fear. I know that happens to me literally all the time, but know what you're fighting for, know what your goal is and your purpose and what that center is for you, because that's when we can do our best war work. That's when we can be the best warriors, if we're in that centered space. Once we start acting from fear and emotion, it has its place for sure. Sometimes you just got to do it. But to me, getting in that kind of space, that's very Aries, that's very impulsive and like that initial spark of war. But we have to go more towards maybe Scorpio, that sits and waits for the perfect moment and knows what its values are and how to be resourceful. That's where we're going to do our best work, in my opinion. Okay, so that is pretty much all I have to say about that. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you are experiencing all these freaking technology issues that are going on right now. It has been interesting. I saw a meme one time. It said, how a person acts when their internet isn't working really shows you what kind of person that is. I'm like, wow, I would fail at that for sure. The Italian is for sure going to come out, might break something, Okay, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. The new moon is coming up on October 6th, so just keep that in mind too. Okay, I love you all. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Bye.